for me personally, I think, you learn when you're a kid that love is important, to love people that are not like you, to love strangers, to love, that love is greater than hate, and all of these things that seem obvious, but as an adult, I think they're hard to remember sometimes. I think we live in very divisive times. We live in times when our leaders are very eager to remind us how we're different from each other, rather than how we're similar, or, promoting understanding doesn't always get you.
Thank you so much, guys, for your time. It's a pleasure to be talking to you, Alex, Karine, and Christina again. And I watched the documentary, and it's very inspiring, very mucho, mucho amor. And what was, can you tell me a little bit about how this collaboration came about?
It was kind of like a cosmic thing. We all wanted to make a documentary about Walter at the same time, but we didn't know. And someone introduced me to Kareem, and he and I had a conversation about Walter. And I said, somebody should do a documentary about him. Like, I've always wanted to do something about Walter. And Kareem said, well, I'm going to this estate sale that he's having, where he's selling a lot of his capes, and I'm going to try to meet someone from his family to try to talk them into that. And I said, wow, if I could help you in any way, I would love to do that. And he and I set a time to follow up after he had met one of Walter's nieces. And 30 minutes before that call, Christina calls me and says, hey, I heard from some mutual friends that you're obsessed with Walter Mercado. I want to make a movie about him. And I said, this is very strange, but I have a call with another director in 30 minutes to talk about that, but maybe this is like meant to be, and maybe we should all make it together, And she said, okay. And so Kareem said, okay. And they got on the phone together, and the rest is history.
Yeah. And to have like this documentary, like, was premiere in Sundance with everybody else, that feeling. And then afterwards being picked up for to Netflix, how you guys feel about that?
It's really amazing. I mean, it was all of it was our dream when, like, the first day, I think that we all talked about it. If you'd have asked us what the dream was for it, it would be to premiere at Sundance and be acquired by Netflix. I think for us, Netflix allows us to show it in the most parts of the world, in the most languages. It's going to be in 190 countries on one day in 30 different languages, which is just mind-blowing to us. The only thing I think that we all regret is that Walter passed away on November 2nd, the day after we submitted to Sundance. And so he wasn't able to see the film completed, and he wasn't able to be there with us at Sundance. He would have killed it at Sundance. He would have been the talk of the town for sure. But, we feel like he's probably in the stars somewhere, like, smiling, watching this. It's so happy. His dream was always to have the crossover moment, to be on a platform that was bigger than just Latin America. And I think in some small way we're helping him get closer to his dream.
Oh yeah. And I think he felt all the love that you guys have for them, not just you guys. I do too. When I moved to Miami, I remember him, and I'm from Brazil, and I remember Ligue Ja and all these. It's incredible how big he was in Brazil too. And then I was like, whoa. And what was, like, in this whole process, how was the most challenging part for you?
I think the most challenging part was the fact that, Walter was so media savvy. He was so used to being in front of the camera, and he had 50 years of rehearsed answers. So sometimes getting to behind, to the core of the subject was difficult, because when he didn't want to answer something, he had a very funny line that would disarm everyone in the room, and we would laugh, and then he kind of got one over on us. But in particular, I think that the fact was that he was a very positive person, and he didn't like to dwell on the negative times. So when we had to talk about the more difficult times in his life, whether they're business problems that went bad or relationships that went sour, he didn't want to talk about that, because he didn't like to dwell on the negative. So it was a big challenge to get him to open up in that sense in particular. I think that was probably one of our most challenging things in making the film.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then when I heard about the documentary at Sundance, and then I was like, oh my God, this is good, because I never knew what happened to him afterwards. And I think this is not just a love letter to him and to his legacy, but also to the new generation to know him and how much he's impact people's life and the TV, right? And I think it's awesome. And what did you learn, like, doing this documentary? Did you learn anything new from him that you didn't know from before, or everything was like set on stone like he was on TV?
I mean, I think we all took away from it a lot of life lessons. I think for me personally, I think, you learn when you're a kid that love is important, to love people that are not like you, to love strangers, to love, that love is greater than hate, and all of these things that seem obvious, but as an adult, I think they're hard to remember sometimes. I think we live in very divisive times. We live in times when our leaders are very eager to remind us how we're different from each other, rather than how we're similar, or, promoting understanding doesn't always get you votes. So I think relearning these lessons and really thinking about how I can approach my life and the people around me with love every day, it has been super important. And it's like one of the most basic lessons in the world. It's one of the first things you learn, but I still think it's one of the hardest to actually put into practice every day. I was gonna say, I think he would love the movie. I think he would love, he loved himself. He loved everybody, but he also loved himself. But he would love it for that reason. He would not like our bringing up his age. He would not like us filming him without his face on and his hair fixed, and he would not like us showing him with his walker. But aside from that, I think he'd love everything else.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. Anything to add, Karine or Alex?
He, the first thing he told us on the call, when he said that after you have to start astrological signs and he'd do it, he said to us, I want to do this. I love that it's young people are interested, and it's young energy, and we like that because he called us young. I particularly like that. But also, I think he was so excited that young people, like this new generation, is so excited about it. And when we're on Twitter or Instagram, you see how many like millennials or Generation Z, like those who are just discovering him or those who are being reminded of him, how excited they are about it. I think he would really be into that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time and a lot of success. And I cannot wait to see your next project together. Not just this one. Yes, I hope so. Y mucho, mucho amor. Thank you.
Mucho amor.
Okay, I'm ready.
El señor Walter Mercado.
Walter Mercado.
Walter Mercado.
Que ha salido para ti, Acuario, nada menos que la fortaleza, porque tú estás fuerte ahora, ¿eh?
We grew up with him. I can't think of an English language astrologer that would command the attention of millions of households.
Escorpio, te pones ahora insistente.
Some people who speak English do not understand how loved you are in the Spanish community.
He's very much his own incredible creation.
He's an androgen. He looks like a woman. Sometimes he looks like a man.
He was like one of the biggest characters, yeah. Not just with Spanish TV, anywhere.
But all of a sudden, he disappeared.
Yo tengo la teoría que tal vez no quiso envejecer ante las cámaras.
¿Puedo decir la edad?
No. Since the moment I was born, I know that I was not like everybody. Everything about me was different.
He made you stop. He had the stop quality.
Bill made me the most well-known psychic of this world.
I can guarantee you Walter did not make millions on that. He didn't have someone really looking out for him.
Entonces, ahí es que empiezan los problemas.
You use a cape because you're a superhero. And I see Walter as a superhero.
I'm a fortune teller, but I don't like to know my future. I just want to enjoy this moment of my life.
El amor es la razón de todo. El amor es el alfa y el omega. El amor es la razón de vivir.
Y que reciban de mí siempre paz, mucha paz, pero sobre todo mucho, 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 ¿qué? Amor.